Okay, this is my second stream today, and I'm gonna try to do the rest of the Stanley Parable in this stream. If I don't, I'll do another stream of it, not tomorrow, but probably either like maybe next weekend, or whenever I have some free time. Do that. The dog and the cat are friends. Load until the number 5 becomes the number 9. Until you stop adjusting this ladder. There. Which of the two made-up words below is most appealing to you? Akiboinkle. Do you know what time it is right now? Yes. Yes. Maybe? Yes. I forget if I have to reset the game again to finish that thing off. Okay, so the next thing is...
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Well, first I'm gonna look around. Because why not? Yeah.
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you. You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra-deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra-deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time
I
ever
love the music.
the Stanley Parable 2.
The end is never the end.
Isn't this
Again?
far superior to a measly
427.
minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe.
They're
What do you
back.
mean?
2
But the
doors.
Stanley Parable
New
2,
content is
now
out. New
that's an
content part
artistic
2 is
statement
in.
right there. It's
Boring
future-oriented.
sections of the
It
chart. Cool
screams
red
of
section of the
progress and
chart.
innovation and long-term
Old
franchising
busted new
potential.
hotness. More TSP. Better TSP. Or Stanley Parable. Sequential mind share. Paradigm shift synergy. Brick and mortar approach. Envelope client-centric marketing. God damn it, Holt. The color red leverage holistic value. And 2 Stanleys.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more
Who took the red marker? Me.
anything scientific or logical, really.
Sequels are good. Portal 2, Half-Life 2, Batman Arkham Asylum 2, City. Divinity Original Sin 2, Doom 2, Aladdin 2, Return of Jafar, Dark Souls 2. That last one is debatable with the community. The prequel to Stanley Parable 2. The prequel to Stanley Parable 2 is the sequel to the Stanley Parable is the prequel to the Stanley. I hate you. God, that makes my brain hurt. This way to the show floor. New features. New content. Wee. Oh, wee.
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
The fuck? Well, the first thing I'm going to talk about is this. First of all, I love that they put this here. But that QR code takes you to Stanley Parable 2 website. More specifically, it takes you to a video. And the video is really funny. But I mean, since I'm playing this on PlayStation, I can't really scan it and show it to you. Or like show it on stream. The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game, jump, circle, infinite hole. The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. Hear your name in the game.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified.
Jim.
Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now?
Jim.
So, then please step forward and press the button.
Jim.
Yes, you see, what a thrill, what a rush. That was you. The button described you. Do it again, do it again.
Jim.
Ooh, it hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
Jim.
Whoa there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much, Jim. I'm putting the Jim button away.
Jim.
Otherwise, soon you'll start to lose all sense of who you actually are.
No, don't take Jim away. No. Can I go through this door? Nope.
I suppose I could allow
You heard Jim in the game. The button that says Jim.
Actually saved me the work of finishing this feature.
Reassurance bucket. I'll save that for later. Please no screenshots.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along.
That's the one I wanted.
Birthday step niece it is.
That's the one I wanted.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision. We're
Free,
moving on.
new, plus easy trophy. I can't believe it's that simple. Get it here. Get yours right now. Pull the lever, receive your new trophy, no more steps. It just works. Get yours right now.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test trophy that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the trophy. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the trophy will be given to you. It's as simple as that. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the trophy is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Mm-hmm. Let's
What
see.
else? What other
Infinite
reference haven't we
hole
seen yet?
collectibles? Is that what this is? Can you find them? Oh god.
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle
Oh,
how
what
fun
the
can be
fuck?
watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
That is terrifying. 1 of 6. Oh god, I hate it being complete darkness back there.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic. You know what, Stanley? I actually think the jump circle was a pretty good idea. I'd like to hang on to that for the sequel.
Oh. I was hoping that there would be some kind of extra audio for if you had at least a few jumps left over. Because if you have no jumps when you go there,
Stanley,
he
here's an
says
idea that I'm truly fond of.
he says you
Never
use
done
he
before in a
just
video
mentions
game.
that you used them
This
all.
is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
Why? What do you not want me to see?
Okay, Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think
Every
if you
pause
can't
button
teach us that you're
is a
unremarkable
Roman numeral
philosophy while
2.
falling, what normal person actually
Just
does
the
falling?
two we can make.
I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't
New
mean.
mug.
Why don't we just put all this behind
Bunch of
us and agree to
cigarettes.
just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready. Great. excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
I'm gonna come back here in a minute, but I want to look at some of the other stuff. Or I'm gonna like come back to this whole big area later, because there's stuff here that I want to check out. What's up here? Isn't this... I don't know if it's... I don't know if this works the way that I think it is, or the way that I remember it working.
This is the story. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Actually, let me turn this up real quick. I don't know why, but I turned it down the other day. Yeah, it's... Ah!
This is the story of a
A man named Stanley. You are now dead.
Story of a man named Stanley. This is the story of a man.
The fact that you can make it the mouse is hilarious. Plasma rifle? I'm gonna have it as that. Oh god, you can make it so fucking big. Okay, before I do this, I want to see play of the game. Okay, no, I'm gonna use that one actually. Let me put this there. I don't see what the point of having a reticle if someone was, or if someone was to put the reticle on, I don't understand what the point of it would be. There we go. What's it? I don't really understand what a transition label is. Top of in-world text. I don't know. Anyway, I did what I wanted to do. Yeah.
Ah, I can see you've gotten the Settings World Champion trophy.
You're
Well
the champion
done.
of setting all the sliders to
Experience
all the
every
possible
setting.
numbers. Please
Travel to
enjoy this
all
room. This
corners of
is
the
your room.
settings
It was
menu.
made just for
There's
you.
nothing you haven't seen. So just for you, in the Stanley Pt.2, I'm including an entirely new setting. Something called bumpscosity. What exactly is bumpscosity? Well, I haven't quite figured that part out yet, but I know that you'll be able to adjust it on some sort of slider and that it'll be accessible from the settings menu. We'll sort out the rest of the details later. I hope you're looking forward to trying out every level of bumpscosity in the Stanley Parable 2.
Does it add it here? No. Maybe it does. I cannot remember. Yeah, there it is. I'm gonna have it on 1,000 bumpscosity. What's this? Oh, this is just a walkway down. I don't mind. I think there's one more area here that I haven't been to, and then it's somewhere else.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable
Bucket.
Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to
Give me
long
bucket.
for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
Jesus.
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
Let me out. Bucket.
Does anyone give out
Bucket.
awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? There really should be an award if it isn't already.
Trying to think, is there anything else here that I haven't looked at? Jump, circle, this map, free trophy, gym, merch, world champion, bucket, office decorations. Epilogue? Where's the epilogue? Right there. Collectibles, infinite hole, and exit. Okay, so it says that up here is the epilogue. I don't want to do the epilogue yet, because it's the epilogue. I want to do more stuff first. Oh, is that up there? Is that what it is?
An epilogue would be fun,
Oh,
wouldn't
wait,
it,
yeah.
Stanley?
It's just this.
Yes, it will go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
I don't know how I passed this. Completely forgot that was there. I'm curious what's up there. Did it just say mostly infinite hole? I like that it changed. Okay. Oh, let's go to the exit. Oh, whoops. Do it right here.
All right,
What in
have
the
you seen
hell?
everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now? So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is.
Yes.
I give you the Stanley Parable 2. Well, I
Epilogue.
mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on, let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video
The
game
jump
at all. It's
circle
full
is
of
the infinite
gags.
hall.
And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
And then it kicks you out to the... Yeah. I love this loading or this menu screen. It's so cool because it's literally just an infinite hallway, but it looks so cool. Cause see, that door shows up, and then when you get close, the door's gonna open, and then you just go through it, and it goes right back into another hallway. It's so cool. It's very trippy, but really cool. This is not a horror game, no.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley
It's
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
basically it's a choice game. You're given many different choices. Oh, hello. And you can follow them.
Stanley picked up the bucket.
You can follow them and do a bunch of different things. Like right there was there was two doors. The narrator says go left, but you can go right or left, and each way has its own thing.
Boss's office was where he'd Stanley. Can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Do it for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk that it has to resort to this?
Yeah, it's not a horror game. It's more or less just a game that's really dumb.
I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends.
Broom
Your
closet.
relationship is purely
Evil.
superficial and convenient. that your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Explain
Fuck
what a wide
you.
variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it. Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go. There. Now it's settled. No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
I want more stickers.
All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see?
Yeah.
I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure
Can't
whether the
remember
thing
if
you're
there's a
holding
third
is
sticker
a
or not.
bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker.
Do you have any more stickers?
You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
Do you have any more stickers?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini-stands? Stanley figs? What about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
Cut my ear.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
427.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this place... Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support. What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket.
My bucket.
To any lengths not to part with the bucket.
My bucket.
No. Stanley can't leave this place, not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms, not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room, but at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest, and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the... Good,
Said the bucket.
Needs a
Now ride the
bucket
lift
girlfriend.
all the way to
Oh,
the
there's a
top.
Stanley.
There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone, and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him. The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head. Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me. Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
Don't listen to the loud man.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
Bucket reminds me of myself. Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's sad. I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
You believe I'm real, don't you, Stanley?
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket.
What you watching?
It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid.
Yes. Believe in the bucket.
One room to another.
Relive this day, the same day, over and over.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
You're starting to believe in the bucket.
Oh no. I'm having feelings.
I'm about to fuck a bucket.
No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation. Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me.
No, it's
give
mine.
me the bucket, Stanley. I need
My bucket.
it. Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
My bucket. Okay. I'll go back to work. Bucket. Wait, where's Bucket?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Trying to think. Mission status. 3 out of 6. Okay. A large room, lots of boxes, the storage. Stairs, something to do with stairs. Bottom of the stairs? Some are both red and blue. I mean, I was about to go downstairs anyway, so if it is down here, then perfect.
Upstairs to the boss's office.
God, it's red.
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me see. I'm sure it will come to me.
Now I go this way.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy,
Wait, is this
why
just...
had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had...
Is this just the same ending?
His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy?
It is different.
The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal
the music.
bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good will come from this.
Bucket.
Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket.
Where did you go, Bucket?
Now he noticed the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. Now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket!
Could it truly be? He rushed
Oh my
from
God.
room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Where's Bucket?
Stanley, find me!
Bucket!
Find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity.
Bucket, where are you?
Suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out. This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
So it's the same ending,
Mariella
just
woke up on a day like
Bucket.
any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work. for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life
Bucket.
kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
She backflipped all the way to work.
All
Oh
of his
my
co-workers were
god.
gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
Let's
Stanley
go.
clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This
Go
was
this way.
not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct?
I'm not going
No.
for the figurine.
Never
I'm
mind.
going here for a
The
different
bucket
thing.
was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Nope.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
I refuse.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no,
No.
buckets past
My
this
bucket.
point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
Okay.
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Bitch.
Item 2. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a
Bitch.
3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 3. Is this a bucket? Correct.
Yeah.
This is a bucket.
Bucket. What the fuck?
Item 4. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a tractor and not a bucket. To be honest, I just sort of put this one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay, next one. Is this a bucket?
It's hard to tell. I'll go with yes.
Correct.
Yes.
This is a bucket. Item 6. Is this a bucket?
No.
Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
How? How is it both? How can a bucket... Is it Schrodinger's bucket?
I can't find the next one. be around here somewhere. Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something, and therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What
The
is a bucket?
universe
Isn't the
is
bucket?
a
Mere
bucket.
moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from
No!
the game entirely.
Don't take my
Okay,
bucket!
here we go.
No!
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did you
Everything was a bucket!
Was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. My God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you,
Woo!
Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And
Okay.
we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a... Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone. Not with the bucket around.
Let's go...
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly
go
to
this
his
way.
chest and entered the door on his left.
And enter the door on his left. Trust the completionist instinct.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Dun 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 dun. I love the narrator's voice. Thank you. I like my bucket. And we never went anywhere. Because for some reason that's what that does.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional... But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
I can't remember if they used every ending and just changed it with the bucket. I know they did it with most of a good portion of the endings, but I don't know about all of them.
Door that read, Mind Control Facility.
I wanna go to the room and click on instead and see if that was changed.
What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Because if I'm not mistaken, there's one other bucket ending within this area between like the boss's office to here,
Everyone in the
or to
office
it,
was
I
being
think.
videotaped,
But I don't know if
monitored
there's
like
another one.
guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as
There I
Stanley
am.
cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do?
I love that roof. I love that it
Does the
actually
bucket want to
shines the
do,
light on the
or not
walls
want
and
to do
stuff.
in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machine... But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly, silly birds. The control buttons became active again. Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
No!
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket, off on another thrilling adventure together. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to
Let's go
his
this way
chest
again.
and entered the door on his left.
I'm gonna get the figurines later, considering one of them I need to not have the bucket with me. So first I'm gonna head back this way, because there's like two other bucket endings, I think.
Upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
I don't know if the one I'm thinking is different. I know there's a one for the
Stanley and the
escape
bucket
route.
walked straight ahead through the large door
I'll do
that
that one
read
later.
Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. But just as Stanley was about to proceed further into the mind control facility, he tripped and fell over the railing and into the dark void below. Thankfully, he fell directly onto the bucket, which safely cushioned his fall. Now, what to do next, Stanley wondered. Stanley and the bucket could find no way out of this enormous pit, and so eventually they decided that the best thing to do would be to simply get comfortable down here. So they set up a little couch and relaxed. It really wasn't so bad down here, a bit cold perhaps. After some time had gone by, they installed a few shelves as well, and a sort of kitchenette that was useful for when the bucket was craving paninis. But it wasn't until the rugs and the standing lamps came in that it really started to feel like a home. In fact, after some time, Stanley realized that it had been ages since he had even thought of the mind control facility at all. He'd never gotten to fully explore what was up there, never been able to unearth the many mysteries of the mind control facility. This lack of closure began to eat at him. Soon he was dwelling on his regrets, and the state of their home slowly decayed as Stanley became withdrawn and neglected the cleaning. It unsettled the bucket deeply. Stanley wasn't usually like this. The bucket tried to reach out to him again and again, but to no avail. All Stanley could think about, all he could talk about, was going back, doing it over again, staying on the path. It was a mistake to leave the path. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I need to do what the narrator says. I need to see the true ending. This made no sense at all to the bucket, which was simply trying to live its life down here as comfortably as possible. Yet Stanley was unconsolable. This isn't an ending. This is just a hole in the ground. The bucket sighed. True, it wasn't an ending.
What is this?
But it's
It's a
where we
bowl?
happen to
Or,
be.
what?
And maybe, possibly, if we accept the reality of things, maybe this will become
I think it's a
an
bowl.
ending eventually. It's what the bucket was counting on. The two of them waited for a very long time.
Oh, okay. Oh, hello. Ah! Ah, my eyes. Oh, so that's how you get here. It's saying batons. Batons. The only way to end this one, end that one, is to begin the game again. And is that just always like that now? So you can always head
Stanley
back
had
there.
never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that it was. Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine with him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not
Trying to
the
think.
way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was.
I want
Had
to
the
check
bucket
something.
turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
Because there's an
Stanley
ending.
took the door on his left to go back to the meeting
There's
room.
an ending if you mess with the
No.
phone.
Said the bucket.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo
I'm
lift.
saving that for
Good.
later.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top.
I could just fall
There's
off.
something up there
That's
I need you
another
to
one.
do.
Stanley did not question
first I
why
wanted
or
to
how
check
this
this.
bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the...
Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the bucket's orders? Stanley, I was joking. Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk. It was a joke. Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley. A talking bucket. Can't you see? Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I mess up the joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult. I wish I were better at it, but there isn't exactly an instructional video on comedy that one can watch to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is. It's sitting right here. Let's take a look.
What is comedic timing? What is comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds? Thankfully, the answer to all of these questions is yes.
Yes.
Let's dive deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh, in all likelihood, you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with one of your arms raised straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body. These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing. To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire joke in no more than 18 seconds and no less than 13 and a half, pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm Dunny with the funny." Let's practice screaming, "I'm Dunny with the funny" now.
I'm Dunny with the funny.
Good. This training is a perfect example of expectation
It would be so
management,
funny if
which
they
is the
actually made it,
cornerstone of good comedy.
like connect to a
Finally,
microphone or
it's
something.
time to hand out
So if you didn't
surveys.
say it, it would be like,
Collecting hard
why didn't you
data
do
from
it?
your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times, just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all. Just remember to let them stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp. After all, we're each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invader who threaten our very existence, and to very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause, just as our children must do after us, and their children after them. Godspeed, and may Earth
Why does
reign
the
supreme.
one in the top right have a human leg? as their
Thank
leg.
goodness this video is a little outdated, isn't it? Well, no matter. I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's head back.
Oh. Oh wait, yeah. Forgot that no matter what you do, they always block this off.
I can feel it. This time, I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches. A talking bucket, you'll say? How ridiculous. How absurd. What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we had the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure. The bucket spoke to Stanley. The bucket spoke? The bucket spoke? Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to overthink things.
Okay, so if I go against what he says, what does he do?
When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they
They
entered
entered the
the
door
door
on the left, but I will go to the right. Oh, hello. I don't like the way that looks. Oh, of course, he closed the door behind me.
What? We're back at the phone already? No, what's going on? There was supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point, a dramatic display of remarkable comedic wit which culminates in this scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land, or not the way it was meant to. And it's all my fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the two doors room. What an egregious mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling whelp. I think I need to go back and rewatch that instructional video again. Yes, surely that will help me improve my...
Please don't make me watch it again.
Here we go. You
Huh?
ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Is it just gonna be the same thing again?
What?
Yeah.
We're back at the phone already? No. Here we go.
Okay.
You
I'm not
ready?
gonna do it
When
again because I already
Stanley and the
know they're
bucket
just
came
gonna
to a set
continue to
of
do
two
that.
open doors, they entered
Into the door on the left. I will go to the left.
You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back to the phone. Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this is all covered very clearly. There's no way I can make the comedic timing work now. It's
Wait, where's my
done. The
sticker?
joke is completely done and
Where's
over.
my
It's all
where's my second
your
sticker?
fault, Stanley. I'm going to be ridiculed in the community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't
What happened to
watch
my
a
second
simple
sticker?
video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you proud?
Well, I couldn't go back there either.
Stanley, you love the bucket so much it's like you... It's as though all of your other most prized possessions pale in comparison.
Oh
Yes?
God.
Well, let me try that again, Stanley. I heard that you are pale with shame over how unabashedly in love with a bucket you are. No? Still not? Is it the delivery? Pale with shame. Pale with shame? Pale... What's another word to describe a bucket? Stanley, this bucket is so mental. I think I saw it playing guitar. No.
I hate that I
I'm
laughed at
getting
that
away
one.
from making fun of Stanley's obsession with the bucket, which was the whole point of this. I'm no good at these jokes. I need more instructional videos. That's exactly what it is. That's what will make me the king of comedy again. More instructional videos.
I still don't get why it says sorry, Leroy. Okay, so trying to think What other endings are there?
All of his co-workers were gone.
There's the
What could
escape
it
one?
mean?
Ooh.
Stanley decided to go to the
Hold on a
meeting
second.
room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Why?
A good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket, a bucket of culture and distinction. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
I'll go here. And I'll do the escape. Hey, look, the second sticker's back
Going
on
to
the
the
bucket.
staircase,
I just noticed
Stanley
that.
and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Yes, we did.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
I wonder if that one ending is different if you do it with the bucket. It's worth a shot, but not right now.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door
No.
that read, Mind Control. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
Yes.
The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
That's not terrifying at all.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected
God,
on
my
how
controller's
meaningless the bucket's warmth
shaking
and comfort
like
had
to all
turned
high
out to be.
hell.
To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what
I don't know
Stanley
if the
thought to
stream can
himself,
hear
and
it,
he
but
sort of kicked
it's
himself
like
for wasting
actually like
so much
full
time
blown
carrying a
vibrating.
bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
No, not bucket. Quickly, bucket, let's go. We must escape.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but
What?
this
Wait.
one stood above the rest.
Where's the
It
bucket?
was a glorious bucket to behold.
What? Where'd bucket go? The bucket welcomes you to the grand exhibit. You're standing at the precipice of knowledge, much like a bucket itself. The human mind is frequently empty within a carnivorous void, but through use of this exhibit in front of you, the mind becomes full and enriched and substantiated. Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we really have. Will you take what you learn here out with you into the real world? Will you accept with an open mind what may be challenging about the information in this exhibit? Will you change the lives of yourself and your loved ones as a result of this exhibit? Or will you turn a blind eye and continue to live as you were, in ignorance and darkness?
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
bucket with 2 handles. This bucket is depicted as having 2 handles. Such a design has never been created in real life, having been deemed too dangerous and recklessly experimental. Every year, dozens are put to death just for attempting it. My God. What does this one say? 25 buckets. Yep, that's 25 buckets. A photograph of 25 buckets, the greatest number of buckets ever captured on camera. The photographer experienced catatonic shock for several weeks as a result of the euphoria from exposure to this many buckets at once. My God. Inferno bucket. A replica of the Inferno bucket, which in the medieval era was so powerfully alluring that it drove dozens of nations to war with one another for control of it. Billions died, and yet, in spite of it all, the simple fact remains: no one can control a bucket. The stress bucket. Presented without commentary. Cave drawing. While we know that the buckets predate the existence of mankind, we do not know by how long. This cave drawing depicts early man's discovery of the practical uses of the bucket, by which time the bucket had already likely been around for several millennia. Notice in these drawings how the bucket is allowing itself to be used, having judged humanity to be worthy of its treasures.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
The hanging bucket. This piece symbolizes the necessary relationship between bucket and humanity. However clear our grasp of the bucket may be, there is yet more that is always out of reach. This distance, inevitability, is for our own good. The bucket chose me worthy.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong.
Ah, there goes my controller again.
Let Stanley die.
No.
Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't
No.
reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run
No.
off another beautiful bucket. We can
This
save
bucket
the
is
world's buckets
mine.
from their treatment as tools and implements if only
This
we
is
let
my
Stanley
bucket.
die together. The bucket shall take
No.
its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new
No.
world, a new vision.
Ah. Bucket.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Okay, I'm gonna leave you behind this time, Bucket, because to get to one of the figurines, I can't have you with me.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time.
Yeah,
There's
sure.
someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove. You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all
All
the
the
figurines.
figurines. I
Very soon,
hate it.
you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler and Marines. None of us can.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly.
All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see?
Okay, well, there's nothing else here, so I'm just gonna click this. Oh, hello. Hello, Bucket. I'm gonna leave you behind again real quick for now.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and
Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
And there it is, the last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
Wee.
Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten.
You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you?
Maybe.
What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
Ah. Something's different. The balloons are gone and the... Oh, I hate you.
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things.
That really fucked with my head.
Those figurines, those figlets. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone?
To the memory zone.
More than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
Now remembering when Stanley found the collectibles.
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then,
And the
we had
most
no idea
concerning
how many
one.
of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll
I still
never be
hate
like
this.
that again, Stanley.
I have 7 of 6.
And here was the second Stanley. You found this one all on your own, just by poking around in the boss's bathroom. You did that, Stanley. I'll be honest. Back then, I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways. Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini Stan? Can you remember?
This one.
Hey, that's exactly right. It was here, behind the boss's office. It was the third one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3 of them. I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your third time doing anything. Let's see, what came next? Oh yes, we found a Figley in this pink room. Oh well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened. This was the 5th mini Stan, and this one was really something special. It was by the red and blue doors. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
Dun, dun, dun. It's mini Stan number 5. Bang, 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 bang. Best boy.
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else. And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here in the warehouse. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like. And then there was no more, because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move
God, that is so
into the
trippy.
future. Goodbye, memory zone.
Whoop.
No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay
I love
here
that
and
it
enjoy
unloads
these figurines?
first
Let's
before
just
it goes
go
back.
backwards. We'll do the memory zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
Okay.
Okay, yes. This spot in the warehouse. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going. I want more.
I don't like the ambient music in the background of this.
And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched?
Oh.
Yes, I love that video. Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room. These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have neutered the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one. This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going. This is it. The very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the Figlarines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this? Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then. But time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. I want more. More memories. Oh, yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one. And before everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember. Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy. And I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions. He would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time.
Yes,
I'll take
you
care of
can do it.
myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling this story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. Just a matter of time. Ah, the embrace of an old friend. A weathered companionship that
I forget
stands
how
the
to get
test
back
of
to
time.
the other
Stanley
stuff.
clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling
There's
to him,
2
telling
more
him that the
endings
employee
of this
lounge
direction. I
was
don't know
simply
if
the
one of them
place to
changed
be.
with the bucket, but I know
And
one
here
of
it
them did.
was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
Or at least,
Stanley took
there
a
may actually be
noiseless
another
effort
one
to
as
go
well.
back to the meeting room.
First I'm gonna do the
No,
other one that I thought of
Said the
first.
bucket.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there.
But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching.
Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could
What
it
could
mean?
it mean?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. The bucket made Stanley want to be a better man and a better co-worker.
In time, perhaps, he would become both of those. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind.
I think there's one other
Stanley
thing.
took the door on his left to go
Not
back
that
to
way.
the meeting room.
I think there's one more over here.
No,
Said the bucket.
I think
don't
it's
go to the
with
meeting
this.
room. Go somewhere else.
Oh, whoops.
The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
I think down here is different with the bucket.
Okay, this is day number 295. Tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. Still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there?
I legit looked away from the TV because I honestly, as soon as the guy stopped speaking, I got because I forgot whether or not there was a jump scare at the
I can't wait to
end.
tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just... Not everyone is so lucky to have a bucket, but Stanley
And there's
is
one
a
more
lucky fella.
other bucket
Very
ending
lucky indeed.
down this way that I
Stanley
remember.
clutched the bucket
Unless there's
tightly to
another
his-
one I can't
This was
remember.
not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
But what I'm probably gonna do is once I get the one other ending I have left after this one that I remember, I'm gonna close the game, like switch the game over to something else and close this one, and then reopen this one because there's more stuff for when you boot up the game again.
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it.
Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it. Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
Dun 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 dun. Ba ba da 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 da. Ba ba da da.
This is
No.
what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
It's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up. Don't you get it, Stanley?
Oh god, that
We
is
need to
ominous
get
as
rid of
hell.
the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley
I'm very
Parable.
curious
True,
what'll
it
happen if I
also was
just
not in the
stand here.
original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
Okay, I guess I can't go anywhere else. Okay, I'll follow the adventure line then.
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket.
I can't.
I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows.
Oh,
That is its
just hold it
singular
closer.
personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get
I'm
back to
trying.
the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans.
It won't let
Give
me.
the fans what they want. Hurry and...
Ah!
Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were
Magnificent. The end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps it takes a lot of humility to carry a bucket so magnificent. Stanley checked his ego and then proceeded onward.
Okay.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
I can't remember if there's any more endings that I missed
Still no one was here.
with the bucket, but
Stanley needed the
I'm gonna
bucket's
do this
warmth
one
and
just
touch
because
of
it's the
love
last
all
one that I
over.
can remember.
Perhaps his boss's office was coming to a staircase. Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping in.
It's so silent. It's so quiet without the narrator. 5 floors to go. Four. 3. 2. 1. And we're here. Goodbye, bucket. Go live your life. Goodbye, bucket.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to
Yeah,
a
if
set
I'm
of
not
2 open doors,
mistaken,
he entered the door on his left.
if I'm not mistaken, the only thing left to do, yeah, is just to close the game and
Yet there
reopen
was
it and
not a
stuff.
single person
So
here either.
I'm gonna do that, or I'm gonna first quit to menu and see if the thing pops up. No, it doesn't. Okay, I don't know if it'll cut my stream off. I hope it doesn't. I'm gonna try to switch to a different game and then close this one and then switch back to this one. If it'll do that. I hope it works like that. I hope it does that.